Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Joe. Today we are going to be finally finishing a 8-month-long build series on the Brownells BRN1911 build. Let's check some shooting footage of this thing actually running and have an enjoyable video. I will say that is a pretty good sound watching this 45 ACP run. It's been 8 months, guys. Welcome back to the channel. This is like the culmination video. If you haven't checked out any of the shorts or Instagram posts I've made, make sure you're actually following me on Instagram. I post a lot of cool shooting videos over there, stuff that, you know, we actually like to see and not have to see a bunch of dumb politics stuff, because that gets old after a while. So if you like that type of stuff, make sure you are following us here on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, you name it. Check us out so you don't miss a single post. Guys, the BRN1911 is probably hands down the most work I've ever put into a personal firearm. Now, for those who are wondering or new to this series and you're finally seeing this, this is a Brownells BRN1911 frame. This is going to be built on a 5-inch government model. In 1911s, you got 3 sizes. You get an officers, a commanders, and a government, which is the full size. So this is a 5-inch barrel. The entire parts kit is off of a Stealth Arms parts kit. And big shout out to Brownells. They were nice enough to actually donate the frame to this channel for the video series. This is taking me so much time and energy. This is probably, I think now, the 5th 1911 I've built, whether it's through a professional capacity. If you guys don't know, I was a gunsmith for the past 5 years at 2 different shops at 2 different states, and I was a graduate of Sonoran Desert Institute. I have my associate's degree in firearms technology, and my last course that you take at SDI was your armors course. I chose the 1911. So, have a little bit of background in building 1911s. Let's get into some more shooting footage, see this thing rock, and I'll get into what my final thoughts are on this seriously just like beautiful build. Now, I'm going to tell you guys straight up, if you are new to building firearms, and for YouTube's purposes, I want to make sure there's no magazine in the gun, there's nothing in the chamber, so this gun is clear. Now, as of test firing this gun, I will have to say, I got to upgrade my mags. You're going to see right about now, I only had 2 stoppages. So far, I've run 50 rounds out of this gun. When you're building 1911s, I was expecting to have a lot of stoppages because I Duracoated this with a pretty cool tactical gray Duracoat. Big shout out to my man Walter at Safety Harbor Firearms. He actually let me use the shop to build the majority of this gun, but he had the spare Duracoat that I grabbed from him. This looks, the camera I just don't think is doing it justice. It just looks perfect. The black accents to the gray metal parts, it's just beautiful. This magazine did give me some trouble. So when you're building 1911s, 1, have patience. Patience is key. I have so far probably about 35 to 38 hours building this gun collectively. Sometimes the parts went together with minimal fitment. Sometimes I had to grind off a lot. Now, after I Duracoated this, I still had to attack the slide rails just to get this gun to go back on, because When you add Duracoat, I kind of spray a little bit heavy too, so I added an extra 2, 3, maybe 4 millimeters of layers to this gun. So you have to hand file everything. If you are new to building guns, I would not start off as a 1911. That gives a little bit more room. There's a ton of other guns you can start if you want to get into the building community and actually build your own guns. It's a really fun hobby. I try and build at least 1 or 2 guns a year. The 1911, I took my time in because I wanted this to be a tight fitment, and the good thing about this is it's tight, but it's not too tight to where it's not going to function. Usually, if you have a very loose 1911, you're not going to have a lot of malfunctions because a lot of the tolerances are kind of on the lower end, so you're not going to have to deal with jams. Tight 1911s, you're going to get better accuracy. The fit and finish is going to be a lot nicer, but sometimes it might be a little bit finicky. Now, I am not saying this is Nighthawk Customs Wilson Combat quality, but if you guys didn't know, the BRN1911 frames are actually based on an Ed Brown design. Ed Brown actually makes them for Brownells. The Stealth Arms parts kits, hands down. I do not have any affiliation with Stealth Arms. I want to make that perfectly clear. I've tagged them on every post I've done on this gun. They just, I don't know, they haven't talked. Stealth Arms makes the Platypus. It's the 2011 that takes Glock mags. Super dope gun. But Stealth Arms parts kits, the best to start off with. If you're going to build a 1911, if you're not already sourcing all your parts from Brownells, because they literally have every single spring, pin, beaver tail, slide, you name it, they have all the parts and all the tools to build it. I didn't have to use any machine work on this. The only thing I had to use was a sandblaster and a spray booth when I applied the finish. Now, I will say there's only one thing that held me up. Before we get into that, I do want to show you one more time of this thing just running like a top. Take the W on that. The one thing I would recommend you guys do also, if you decide to actually jump into getting a Brownells 1911, they're going on, they're about, I want to say $250 to $300 for just the strip frames, and they're Series 70 frames, so you don't have to deal with like the extra sear block safety. I'm not dealing with that. No, this is built off a Series 70 parts kit. When you're building these 1911s, I literally had to order 2 or 3 times the same spring kit, and it's your plunger safety tube spring. I had to order that spring kit 3 times, and it was about, with shipping, about 10-15 bucks a piece. So relatively, I spent about $45 on one spring. When you're building these guns, Brownells actually does sell through, I believe, Wilson Combat or Ed Brown, one of them. They make oops kits, just like if you're building AR-15s and you lose a D10 spring, a D10, you name it, they sell oops kits. Get yourself an oops kit for a 1911 because it does not suck. It just sucks so much when you're trying to build a gun, get this thing up and running, and you launch a safety plunger spring into the next atmosphere. And then you gotta wait about, say, a week or so. I live in Florida and the mail takes, an Olympics to get here. So get yourself an oops kit. That's one thing I would recommend. I would definitely tell you, if you're good with files, you're good with using calipers, measuring stuff, do that. Build a 1911. It's one of the funnest guns to build. You're actually building it, where you have to deal with tolerance stacking. You have to deal with knowing hand fitment of certain parts, and you got to know a lot of stuff. There's a ton of great books out there available. There is a ton of videos out there. Now, this series wasn't meant to be a how-to. It was meant to be a how-to, but it also just turned into, listen, I make these videos so you guys can enjoy them, and you guys seem to have been loving them, but also they take a lot of work. It's the best gun to show that process of how much work it actually goes into building a good quality 1911. Would I build another one? 100% yes. I'd love to build a commander. I wouldn't recommend you guys build an officer size. It's just be the smallest one. Built one of those before, and I wanted to rip my hair out. They're very finicky. It takes certain knowledge. If it's your first time building one, I'd recommend starting with the full size. I actually have a couple holsters for it. I'm gonna still continue to shoot it, and I will say I'm gonna go with a Chip McCormick mag. What this magazine is, they're not the best quality. Brownells has a 3-pack of Wilson Combat 10-round mags. Pick those up and you'll be fine. As long as you got good magazines, good ammunition, and you're good with a file, you're gonna have one hell of a time and a fun time building 1911. Big shout out to Brownells. Thank you guys so much for watching. We got to figure out what gun we're building next if we do another build series, but if it wasn't for Brownells, I wouldn't be able to do this entire video series or kind of keep this channel afloat. So make sure you check them out in the link in the description. It's going to be your deals and discount page. If you buy anything from them, whether you want to buy a frame, some 1911 tools, or even a full 1911, check them out. It helps us directly. We get a little bit of a kickback. Doesn't cost you guys anything. And also make sure you're checking out other people like Liberty Bell Firearms. I'm not the best Cerakoter and Duracoder in the world. That's why I'm happy I partnered with Liberty Bell Firearms. They offer you a discount code, links in the description, and you guys can get some pretty cool Cerakote done. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Peace.